Disclaimer.
I thought my silence was godly. I was killing us.
My name is Sarah Grace Wellington. I am 29 years old. I died for 6 minutes on September 14, 2023 in Nashville, Tennessee.
And what I saw changed the way I understand love forever. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. I need you to understand something before I tell you what happened. I need you to know that I was not some bitter, angry wife. I was not the woman who screamed or threw dishes or made scenes. I was the woman who smiled. I was the woman who prayed. I was the woman who waited, and waited, and waited, until waiting became the only thing I knew how to do. The night it happened started like every other night. Ordinary, quiet, suffocating. I sat across from my husband at the dinner table, watching him eat the meal I had spent an hour preparing. The chicken was perfect. The vegetables were seasoned just right. I had even lit a candle, hoping. I do not even know what I was hoping for anymore. Maybe a glance, maybe a smile, maybe a single question about my day. But there was nothing, just the sound of his fork scraping the plate, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant tick of the clock on the wall. I counted the seconds between bites. I watched his face, waiting for him to look up, to see me, to acknowledge that I was sitting right there in front of him. But his eyes stayed down. His jaw moved mechanically, chewing, swallowing, existing. I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell him that I was drowning. That I had been drowning for 2 years. That every silent dinner felt like another shovel of dirt on top of a grave I was being buried in. But I swallowed the words like I always did. I told myself it was not the right time. That he was tired. That marriage is hard for everyone. That I needed to be patient. Patience. That word had become my prison. He pulled out his phone. Did not ask permission. Did not apologize. Just unlocked it and started scrolling, his face lit by the blue glow, his expression blank. I stared at him. I stared so hard I thought maybe he would feel it. Maybe he would look up and finally see the woman sitting across from him, the woman who had become invisible in her own home. But he did not. I stood up, collected the plates, walked to the sink. My hands were shaking, but I kept them steady. I turned on the water, let it run hot, and started scrubbing. I scrubbed until my fingers burned. I scrubbed because if I stopped moving, I would scream. And screaming was not something patient wives did. I heard him get up from the table. Heard his chair scrape against the floor. I thought maybe he would come to me. Maybe he would wrap his arms around me from behind like he used to. Maybe he would kiss my neck and ask if I was okay. But he walked past me. Walked straight to the living room. Turned on the TV. And I stood there, alone. Again, I closed my eyes and let the memory come. The one I tried every day not to think about. The one that split my life into before and after. 2 years ago, September. A different hospital. A different kind of pain. I was lying on a cold table, staring at a screen I could not understand, listening to a doctor I did not want to hear. Her voice was soft, practiced, apologetic. She had done this before. She had delivered this news to other women who also thought their bodies would not betray them. I am sorry, Sarah. There is no heartbeat. I remember the silence that followed. The way time stretched. The way my brain refused to process the words. For either baby. Twins. I was supposed to have twins. 2 heartbeats. 2 lives. 2 futures. Gone. My husband sat next to me, holding my hand. I felt his grip tighten. I waited for him to say something. To cry. To break. To feel it with me. But he just stared at the screen, his jaw clenched, his face unreadable. He squeezed my hand, but he did not look at me. He did not pull me into his chest. He did not whisper that we would get through it. He just sat there. The doctor left the room. The nurse handed me tissues I did not ask for. My husband finally spoke. We will be okay. That was it. 4 words. Flat. Emotionless. Like he was reading from a script. We drove home in silence. I stared out the window, my hand pressed against my stomach, feeling the emptiness where life had been. I wanted him to pull over. I wanted him to hold me. I wanted him to scream at God with me. But he drove, both hands on the wheel, eyes forward, silent. When we got home, he went to the garage. Said he needed to process. I went to the bedroom. I lay on top of the covers, bleeding, cramping, grieving 2 children I would never meet. I waited for him to come to bed. I waited for hours. He did not come. I cried alone that night. I cried every night for weeks. And every night, he stayed in the garage, or on the couch, or somewhere else that was not next to me. I told myself he was grieving in his own way. That men process differently. That I needed to give him space. That pushing him would only make it worse. So I waited. I waited for him to come back to me. I waited for him to ask how I was. I waited for him to reach for me in the night. I waited for the man I married to remember I existed. But he never did. And somewhere along the way, I stopped asking. I stopped needing. I stopped expecting. I built a theology around my silence. I told myself that God was teaching me patience. That this was my season of refinement. That godly wives endure. That my mother endured. That suffering in silence was strength. I prayed every night. I begged God to change him. I fasted. I read books on being the wife he needed. I highlighted verses about waiting on the Lord. I wrote in my journal about trusting God's timing. I did everything except tell my husband the truth. I was dying. Not physically. Not yet. But slowly. Quietly. In a way no one could see. I became a ghost in my own marriage. I floated through rooms. I cooked meals no one tasted. I said words no one heard. I smiled when people asked how we were doing. I lied to my friends. I lied to my mother. I lied to myself. And every night, I knelt by the bed and prayed the same prayer. God, please change him. Please make him see me. Please make him love me the way I need to be loved. But I never prayed for courage to speak. I never prayed for strength to confront. I never prayed for permission to need. I just waited. September 14, 2023. The last morning I woke up as that woman. I felt it the moment I opened my eyes. Heaviness. Not sadness. Not exhaustion. Something deeper. Something physical. My chest felt tight. My leg ached. A dull throb that had been there for weeks but I kept ignoring because I had bigger problems than a sore leg. I got out of bed. He was already awake, sitting on the edge of the mattress, scrolling his phone. I waited for him to look at me. He did not. Good morning, I said. He nodded. Did not look up. I went to the bathroom. Splashed water on my face. Stared at myself in the mirror. I looked tired. Older. My eyes had lost something. I did not know when. I did not know how to get it back. Breakfast was silent. Toast. Coffee. The sound of chewing. He checked his watch. Finished his coffee. Stood up. I have a meeting. I will be late tonight. I nodded. I did not ask where. I did not ask when he would be home. I had learned not to ask. He grabbed his keys. Walked to the door. I followed him, hoping. Hoping for what, I do not know. A kiss. A hug. A glance. He opened the door. Stepped outside. Have a good day, I said. He did not turn around. You too. The door closed. I stood there, staring at the wood, feeling my chest tighten. I pressed my hand against it, trying to breathe through the ache. I told myself it was anxiety. Stress. The weight of carrying everything alone. I went to the kitchen. Started cleaning. Wiping counters that were already clean. Organizing cabinets that were already organized. Keeping my hands busy. Keeping my mind quiet. The day passed slowly. I did laundry. I vacuumed. I texted him. Asked how his meeting went. He responded 3 hours later with a thumbs up emoji. I stared at that emoji for 10 minutes. A thumbs up. That was all I was worth. By the time evening came, the ache in my chest had grown. My leg throbbed. I sat on the couch, pressing my hand against my ribs, wondering if I should go to the doctor. But I did not, because going to the doctor meant admitting something was wrong. And I had spent 2 years pretending everything was fine. He came home after 9. No explanation. Just a tired sigh and a quiet, hey. I looked up from the couch. Tried to smile. How was your day? Long. That was it. One word. He sat down next to me. Grabbed the remote. Turned on the TV. I sat there, inches away from him, feeling the distance like an ocean. I wanted to ask him why. Why did he stop talking to me? Why did he stop touching me? Why did he look at me like I was furniture? But fear wrapped around my throat and squeezed. So I got up, went to the kitchen, made him a plate of leftovers he did not ask for, heated it in the microwave, set it in front of him. He glanced at it, nodded, took a bite. I stood there, waiting for a thank you that never came. I went back to the sink, turned on the water, started washing dishes. My hands shook. My vision blurred. I gripped the edge of the counter, trying to hold myself together. I prayed under my breath. God, please. I cannot do this anymore. Please, change him. Please. But nothing changed. The water ran. The TV hummed. My husband ate in silence. And I stood there, invisible, drowning in a marriage that looked fine from the outside. I stared down at my wedding ring. The gold band that used to mean forever. Now it just felt heavy. I thought about taking it off. But I did not. Because taking it off meant admitting I had failed. And I was not ready to admit that yet. So I kept washing dishes. I kept praying. I kept waiting. I did not know that in less than an hour, the waiting would be over. The pain started small. A tightness in my chest. A flutter. I pressed my hand against my ribs, taking a slow breath, telling myself it was nothing. Just stress. Just the weight of another silent evening pressing down on my lungs. I kept scrubbing the dish in my hand, the warm water running over my fingers, the sound of the TV droning in the background. I focused on the rhythm. Scrub, rinse, repeat, scrub, rinse, repeat. If I kept moving, I would not fall apart. But the tightness did not go away. It spread, slowly, a dull ache crawling up my shoulder. Into my jaw. I stopped, set the dish down, gripped the edge of the sink. Maybe I was having a panic attack. I had those before, after the miscarriage, late at night when the silence became too loud. When the grief pressed so hard against my chest I thought my ribs would crack. This felt like that. It had to be that. I closed my eyes, tried to breathe through it. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in, out, but the pain got worse. Sharper, heavier, like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed. I gasped. My knees buckled. I grabbed the counter with both hands, trying to steady myself, but my legs felt weak. My vision blurred. The kitchen tilted. Sarah? His voice. Far away, muffled, like he was underwater. I tried to answer, tried to say his name. But my throat closed. No sound came out. The pain exploded. It was not an ache anymore. It was fire. It was sharp. It was crushing. It radiated from my chest to my back, my arms, my jaw. I could not breathe. I could not think. I could not do anything except feel the weight of it pressing me into the floor. My legs gave out. I collapsed. The dish I had been holding shattered on the tile. The sound was so loud. Too loud. It echoed in my head like a gunshot. And then I heard him running. Footsteps pounding. His voice, panicked, breaking. Sarah, Sarah. He dropped to his knees beside me. His hands on my face. His eyes wide, terrified. I had never seen him look at me like that. Like he was afraid. Like he was seeing me for the first time in years. I wanted to reach for him. I wanted to tell him I was okay. But I was not okay. I could not move. I could not breathe. My body was shutting down. He grabbed his phone. Dialed. His hands shaking so hard he almost dropped it. 911, what is your emergency? My wife, she collapsed. She is not breathing right. I do not know what is happening. His voice cracked. He was crying. I had not heard him cry since our wedding day. Sir, is she conscious? Barely. Her eyes are open but she is not responding. Sir, I need you to check if she is breathing. He leaned down, his ear near my mouth, his hand on my chest. She is breathing, but it is shallow. Please, you have to help her. I tried to focus on his face. Tried to hold onto the sound of his voice. But everything was fading. The light, the sound, the pain. I felt myself slipping. He held my hand, squeezed it so tight it should have hurt. But I could not feel it anymore. Stay with me, he whispered. His voice breaking, his tears falling onto my face. Please, Sarah, please do not leave me. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Please, sorry. He was sorry. I had waited 2 years to hear that word. And now, as I was dying, he finally said it. The irony would have made me laugh if I had the breath. Sirens. Distant. Getting closer. Red and blue lights flashing through the window. Voices shouting outside. The front door slamming open. Boots on the floor. Hands pulling him away from me. Sir, step back. We need to assess her. No, I am not leaving her. Sir, you need to let us work. I heard him sobbing. Heard him begging them to save me. Heard the desperation in his voice. The love I had been starving for. Finally. Now. When it was too late. The paramedics surrounded me. Cold hands on my neck. On my wrist. Checking my pulse. Shining lights in my eyes. Voices overlapping. Pulse is weak. Possible pulmonary embolism. We need to move now. They lifted me onto a stretcher. Strapped me down. Carried me out of the house. The ceiling passed above me in a blur. The lights. The walls. The pictures we hung together when we first moved in. Our wedding photo. Smiling. Happy. A lifetime ago. The cold night air hit my face. I heard him running behind the stretcher. I am coming with you. Sir, you will have to follow in your car. No, please. I need to be with her. Sir. They loaded me into the ambulance. Slammed the doors. The engine roared. We moved fast. Too fast. The siren screamed. A paramedic leaned over me. Her face calm. Professional. She pressed an oxygen mask over my mouth. Sarah, can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. I tried. I could not. We are going to take care of you. Stay with us, okay? Stay with us. But I was not staying. I was leaving. The pain was gone now. All of it. The tightness. The ache. The weight. It just stopped. And that was worse. Because I knew what that meant. The monitor started beeping. Slow. Slower. Her heart rate is dropping. BP is crashing. Start compressions. Hands on my chest. Pushing. Hard. Rhythmic. I felt my body jerking with each compression. Felt my ribs flexing. But I was not inside it anymore. I was floating. Slowly. Gently. Rising above myself. I looked down. I saw my body on the stretcher. Lifeless. Pale. My eyes half open but seeing nothing. The paramedics working frantically. One doing compressions. One holding the oxygen bag. One preparing a needle. The monitor flatlined. One long, endless beep. We are losing her. Charging to 200, clear. My body jolted. Arched. Fell back. Nothing. Again. Charging. Clear. Another jolt. Still nothing. I heard one of them whisper, "Come on, come on." But I was already gone. The ambulance faded. The sirens faded. The voices faded. And then, warmth. It started in my chest. Soft. Gentle. Like the first breath of spring after a long winter. It spread through me, wrapping around me, holding me in a way I had not been held in years. I was not afraid. I should have been. I was dying. I knew I was dying. But I was not afraid. Because for the first time in 2 years, I felt at peace. The darkness around me began to glow. Soft golden light, pulsing like a heartbeat. It was not harsh, not blinding. It was warm, alive, welcome. I heard my heartbeat. Slow, faint, fading, thump, pause, thump, pause, thump, and then, nothing. Silence. Complete, perfect, silence. No sirens, no voices, no pain, no fear, just light. And in that light, I saw them, memories, forming in the air like photographs developing in slow motion. My wedding day, his smile, my dress, the way he looked at me like I was the only person in the world. The way he held my hand and promised forever. Then another memory, our first apartment, laughing, dancing in the kitchen, burnt pancakes, his arms around my waist. His lips on my neck. The way he whispered, "I love you," like it was a secret only we knew. Then another. The positive pregnancy test. My hands shaking. His face lighting up. The way he spun me around. The way we cried together. Happy tears. Hopeful tears. Then, the hospital. The ultrasound. The doctor's face. The silence. The heartbeat that was not there. His hand in mine. Cold. Distant. The beginning of the end. The memories kept coming. Faster, sharper, each one a moment I had buried, each one a truth I had ignored. Silent dinners, turned backs, unanswered questions, ignored needs, my voice getting smaller, his presence fading, the space between us growing until we were strangers living in the same house. And then I saw the last memory. Me, standing at the sink, washing dishes, alone, invisible, waiting, always waiting. I thought I had been waiting for God to move. I thought I had been waiting for my husband to change. I thought I had been waiting for the right moment to speak. But in that moment, as the light pulled me forward, as the warmth surrounded me, as the truth became undeniable, I realized I had been waiting to disappear. And I finally had. The silence was not empty. It was full, heavy, alive. I floated in it, weightless, formless, but fully aware. I was no longer Sarah in the ambulance. I was no longer Sarah dying on a stretcher. I was somewhere else, somewhere between heartbeat and eternity. The warmth wrapped around me like the embrace I had been starving for. It did not ask permission. It did not wait for me to be ready. It simply held me, and for the first time in 2 years, I did not have to hold myself together. I could breathe, not physically. I had no lungs, no chest, no body, but I could breathe in a way I never could on Earth. Deep, full, without the weight pressing down. The golden light around me began to shift. It was not random. It was forming, shaping, creating something intentional. The warmth pulled me forward, and I did not resist. I let it carry me. And then I saw it. A path, glowing, soft, paved with light that pulsed like a heartbeat. I looked down at myself and realized I had form again. Hands, feet, but not flesh. Not exactly. I was made of light and memory and something else I could not name. I took a step. The moment my foot touched the path, the world around me responded. The light expanded. Walls formed, translucent, shimmering, not solid but real. I was standing in a corridor. Long, endless, lined with doors on both sides. Dozens of them. Some glowed brighter than others. Some flickered. Some were dim, nearly invisible. But they were all there. Waiting. I did not know where I was. But I knew why I was here. I walked forward slowly. My footsteps made no sound. The air smelled like something I could not place. Familiar. Distant. Like a memory I buried so deep I forgot it existed. The first door appeared on my left. It opened before I could touch it. Inside was not a room. It was a moment. A memory. Playing out like a film I could step into. I saw myself. Lying in bed. The night after the miscarriage. My back turned to the door. Eyes open. Staring at the wall. I looked so small. So fragile. So broken. And then I saw him. My husband. Standing in the doorway. Hesitating. His hand gripping the frame so tightly his knuckles were white. His face twisted in pain. He wanted to come to me. I could see it. But he did not know if I wanted him there. He whispered my name. Sarah? I watched myself. Watched the way my body tensed. Watched the way I pulled the blanket tighter around me. Watched the way I did not answer. He stood there for what felt like an eternity. Then he turned. Walked to the next room. Sat on the floor. Put his head in his hands. And he wept. He sobbed so hard his whole body shook. He prayed through gasping breaths. God, I do not know what to do. I do not know how to help her. She will not let me in. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell the version of myself in that bed to turn around. To let him in. To stop pretending she was strong enough to carry it alone. But I could not. The door closed. I stood there, trembling. My chest tight even though I had no chest. Another door opened. This time I saw us at the kitchen table. 6 months after the miscarriage. I was setting down his dinner. He looked up at me. Are you okay? I watched myself smile. I am fine. But I was not fine. I could see it in my eyes. The deadness. The exhaustion. The lie. He nodded. Looked back down at his plate. And I walked away. The door closed. Another opened. And another. And another. Each one showing me a moment I chose silence. For a moment I swallowed my voice. A moment I buried my needs so deep I forgot I had them. The night I wanted to ask him to hold me but pretended to be asleep instead. The morning I almost told him I needed therapy but said I was fine. The afternoon I wanted to scream at him for not noticing my pain but smiled and asked how his day was. Each door was a turning point. Each one a chance I missed. Each one a truth I refused to speak. The hallway stretched longer. More doors appeared. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. I did not know how many moments I had buried. How many words I had swallowed. How many times I had chosen fear over truth. I wanted to run, but I could not. The path only moved forward. The hallway finally ended. Massive golden gates stood before me. Ancient, heavy, carved with symbols I did not understand but somehow recognized. They opened slowly, groaning under their own weight. I stepped through, and I gasped. A garden. Vast. Beautiful. Or, it should have been. The air smelled like my wedding day. Roses. Jasmine. The perfume I wore when I walked down the aisle. The scent wrapped around me, pulling me back to the moment I said yes. The moment I believed love would be enough. But something was wrong. The garden was dying. Everywhere I looked, flowers wilted. Rosebushes thick with thorns but no blooms. Trees with skeletal branches reaching toward a sky I could not see. Grass brown and brittle beneath my feet. A fountain stood in the center, massive and ornate, but the water was still. Stagnant, not flowing. I walked forward, and with every step, more flowers wilted. Petals fell, stems bent, leaves curled and browned. I stopped. I understood. This garden was my marriage. Every dying flower was a moment of intimacy I let slip away. Every empty branch was a conversation I avoided. Every wilted rose was a truth I buried. The garden was dying because I let it. I fell to my knees, tears streaming down my face. I did not know it would come to this. But I did know. Deep down, I knew. I just did not want to admit it. I crawled to the fountain. Pressed my hands against the cold stone edge. I looked into the still water. My reflection stared back. But it was not me as I was now. It was me on my wedding day. Young, glowing, full of hope. My dress white and perfect. My smile as wide. My eyes bright with belief that love would be easy. That marriage would be the answer to every wound I carried. The reflection smiled at me. Then it faded, replaced by another image. Me in the hospital bed. After the miscarriage. Hollow, empty, broken. Blood on my gown. Grief carved into my face. Staring at nothing. The water rippled. I looked up. Two small figures stepped out from behind the fountain. Children. A boy and a girl. They looked about 5 years old. The age they would have been if they had lived. They held hands. Their faces solemn. Their eyes were full of something I could not name. Not anger. Not blame. Sorrow. Each child held a wilted rose in their free hand. I could not breathe. Could not move. Could not speak. The girl stepped forward first. Her voice was soft. Gentle. But it cut through me like a blade. Mama, why did you stop fighting for us? I choked on a sob. I tried to be strong. The boy stepped closer. His eyes so much like mine it hurt to look at him. We were supposed to be here. But you let the garden die. No, I did not. But the lie tasted bitter even here. The girl shook her head gently. You were silent, Mama. Silence is not strength. I collapsed forward, pressing my forehead against the stone, weeping so hard my entire body shook. I was afraid. I was so afraid. Of what? The boy asked. Of being too much. Of pushing him away. Of being the problem. The girl knelt beside me. Placed her small hand on my shoulder. So you became nothing instead. Her words shattered me. Because they were true. I had made myself small. Invisible. Silent. I had convinced myself that needing less made me easier to love. That asking for nothing made me noble. But all it did was make me disappear. The twins did not leave. They stood on either side of me, watching with eyes that saw everything I tried to hide. I looked down at my hand. My wedding ring was glowing. But the light flickered, on and off, fading. I touched it, and it burned cold. I tried to hold it in place, but it began to loosen. Sliding down my finger. Panic surged through me. No, please. I tried to grip it. I tried to hold it on. But it kept slipping. A voice echoed through the garden. Not harsh, not angry, but undeniable. You cannot hold together what you refused to build. The ring slid off my finger. It hovered in the air before me. And then it cracked. A thin line split down the center. The sound of glass breaking. The ring split in two. One half turned to ash. Blew away in a breeze I could not feel. The other half remained, glowing faintly. The voice spoke again. This is what remains when only one person carries the covenant. I stared at the broken ring, trembling. I understand now. I thought I was protecting the marriage. I thought my silence was a sacrifice. I thought my patience was obedience. But I was wrong. I was not protecting the marriage. I was letting it starve. I was not sacrificing. I was hiding. I was not being patient. I was being a coward. The truth hit me like a wave, and I could not run from it anymore. The twins stepped back, still watching, still waiting, and the light around me grew brighter. Someone was coming. The garden grew brighter, not harsh, not blinding, but undeniable. The light came from everywhere and nowhere at once. It filled the air. It filled me, and I could not look away. The twins stepped back, their small hands still clasped together. They did not disappear. They stayed, watching, witnesses to what was about to happen. The fountain water began to move. Slowly at first. A ripple. Then another. Then a gentle flow. The stillness broke. The water that had been stagnant for so long began to live again. And then I felt it. A presence. Overwhelming. Powerful. But not frightening. I had been seen by people my whole life. Looked at. Observed. Judged. But I had never been seen like this. Every hidden wound. Every buried lie. Every truth I told myself to survive. Every wall I built. Every word I swallowed. Every moment I chose fear over honesty. All of it. Exposed. And there was no condemnation. Only the truth. A figure began to form in the light. Not fully visible. Not a body I could describe. But undeniably present. Undeniably real. I knew who it was before he spoke. Jesus. I fell to my knees. Not because I was told to. Not because I thought I should. But because I could not stand in the weight of his presence. I could not pretend here. I could not perform. I could not hide behind the mask I wore for everyone else. I could only be seen. And I was terrified. Because I knew what he was going to say. But he did not condemn me. He spoke my name. Sarah. My name had never sounded like that before. It was not harsh. It was not disappointing. It was full of more love than I had ever heard. But it was also full of clarity. Truth I could not escape. I tried to speak. Tried to explain. Tried to defend myself. But no words came. He did not need my explanations. He already knew. His voice was calm. Warm. But it cut through every defense I had ever built. You have called for patience. You have called fear faith. I am showing you that love requires your voice, not your absence. The garden around me shifted. Another memory formed. I saw myself kneeling by my bed. Hands folded. Eyes closed. Praying. God, change him. Please change him. Make him see me. Make him love me the way I need to be loved. I watched myself pray that prayer over and over. Night after night. Month after month. Year after year. The voice continued. You prayed for me to change him. But I was asking you to speak. I shook my head, tears streaming. I did not want to be a burden. I did not want to push him away. I thought if I just waited, if I just endured, if I just prayed enough, you would fix it. So you pushed yourself away instead. The words landed like stones in my chest. I saw it now. Every time I swallowed my needs, I taught him I did not have any. Every time I said I was fine, I trained him to believe me. Every time I waited for him to pursue me, I made myself unreachable. I was not being patient. I was invisible. But I was afraid, and your fear became his permission. I collapsed forward, sobbing into my hands. The boy stepped forward. His small hand rested on my shoulder. You were afraid of being too much, Mama. So you became nothing. His words broke me. Because they were true. I had spent my entire marriage trying not to be a burden. Trying not to be needy. Trying not to be difficult. And in the process, I disappeared. The light shifted again. Another memory formed. This time I saw the night of the miscarriage. But not from my perspective. From his. I saw my husband sitting on the floor in the next room. Head in his hands. Shoulders shaking. Tears streamed down his face. He whispered into the darkness. God, I do not know how to help her. I do not know what she needs. She will not talk to me. She will not let me in. I feel like I am losing her, and I do not know how to stop it. I gasped. He wanted to help me? Yes. The voice was gentle but firm. He was waiting for you to let him in. But you locked the door and called it protection. The memory continued. I saw him standing outside our bedroom door the next morning. Hand on the knob. Hesitating. He opened it quietly. Saw me lying there, back turned. He whispered my name. I did not answer. He stood there, waiting, hoping I would turn around. I did not. He left. And I told myself he did not care. The memory shifted forward. Months later. Him reaching for me in bed. His hand on my shoulder. Sarah, can we talk? I watched myself pull away. Turn toward the wall. I am tired. Not tonight. He pulled his hand back. Stared at the ceiling. Did not try again. I told myself he gave up too easily. But the truth was clear now. I gave him nothing to hold on to. I was grieving, I whispered, and so was he. But you grieved alone and blamed him for not breaking down your walls. The girl twin spoke, her voice soft but piercing. You wanted him to chase you, Mama. But you ran so far he could not find you. I saw the pattern now. Every time he asked if I was okay, I said yes. Every time he tried to comfort me, I said I was fine. Every time he reached for me, I turned away. And then I resented him for not trying harder. I wanted him to read my mind, to know what I needed without me having to say it. And when he could not, I called him neglectful. But he was not neglectful. He was confused, because I had spent 2 years telling him everything was fine while dying inside. The light grew even brighter. The presence of Jesus surrounded me completely now. His voice was firm, loving, but unyielding. If you return, you will no longer wait for him to pursue you. You will speak, and you will discover whether the covenant is alive or if you have been protecting a ghost. The broken wedding ring reappeared, hovering in the air before me. I reached for it. It pulled away. What if? What if I speak and he does not listen? What if I tell him the truth and he still does not care? The voice did not soften. Then you will know the truth. And the truth will set you free, even if it breaks your heart. I stared at the ring, at the crack down the center, at the half that was missing. I do not know if I am strong enough. You are not. The words should have crushed me. But they did not. But you will speak anyway. Because silence is killing you both. The twins stepped forward together. Each one placed their wilted rose in my hands. The stems were dry, the petals brittle, the flowers were dead, but as I held them, something happened. Tiny green shoots began to appear at the base of the stems. Not full life, not blooming, but possibility. The girl twin smiled softly. These can bloom again, Mama. But only if you water them. Only if you stop pretending the garden is fine. I looked at the roses. At the fragile new growth. At the hope that terrified me. Because hope meant risk. Hope meant vulnerability. Hope meant I could speak the truth and still be rejected. But staying silent meant death. The voice spoke one final time. You will return. And you will speak. And you will stop calling silence strength. The garden began to fade. The light grew brighter, more intense. The twins began to dissolve into the light. Their faces are peaceful. Their small hands waved. We will wait for you, Mama, the girl said. But not in silence, the boy added. I reached for them, but they were gone. The fountain water surged, rising, rushing, roaring. The presence of Jesus wrapped around me like arms I could not see. Holding me, steadying me. Go back, Sarah, and live loudly. The broken ring fused back together. Not perfectly. The crack was still visible. A scar, but whole enough. It slid back onto my finger. Burning hot, then cold, then warm. I felt it. A pull. Violent. Sudden. The garden disappeared. The light shattered into 1,000 pieces. Darkness rushed in. Cold. Pain. My chest exploded. Air slammed into my lungs like a fist. I tried to scream but choked. Voices shouting. Hands pressing. Lights blinking. Chaos. Noise. Life. And through it all, one thought broke through. Clear. Undeniable. Burning in my chest like fire. I am alive. And I will not be silent anymore. Air. It slammed into my lungs like shattered glass. Sharp. Violent. Burning. My body convulsed. Arched off the stretcher. Every muscle seizing at once. I could not control it. Could not stop it. My chest heaved. My throat closed. I choked on oxygen I had been dead without. Voices exploded around me. We got her back. Pulse is returning. Sarah, stay with us. Hands pressing on my chest. Cold. Firm. Keeping rhythm with a heart that had forgotten how to beat on its own. My eyes flew open. Blinding light. White. Harsh. Fluorescent. I blinked. Once. Twice. Everything blurred. Shapes moving above me. Faces I did not recognize. Strangers in blue uniforms leaning over me. Mouths moving. Words I could not process. The oxygen mask over my face felt like it was suffocating me even as it kept me alive. I tried to speak. I tried to say something. Anything. But only a strangled sound came out. A gasp. A choke. A paramedic grabbed my hand. Squeezed it. Sarah. Sarah, look at me. You are okay. You are alive. Just breathe. In and out. Slow. You are okay. But I was not okay. I was back. Back in my body. Back in the pain. Back in the weight of being human. And I remembered everything. The garden. The twins. The broken ring. The voice. You will speak. My chest tightened. Not from the embolism. From fear. The ambulance was still moving. Sirens wailing. The world outside rushing past in a blur of lights and sound. I turned my head slightly. Saw the paramedic checking the monitor. Saw another adjusting the IV in my arm. Saw the defibrillator pads still stuck to my chest. I was dead. And no, I was not. But I was not the same person who collapsed in that kitchen. The ambulance jerked to a stop. Doors flew open. Cold air rushed in. Voices shouting. Female, 29, cardiac arrest, down for 6 minutes, revived on scene. They pulled the stretcher out. Wheels hit the ground. The world spun. Fluorescent hospital lights flashing overhead as they rushed me through automatic doors. The smell hit me. Disinfectant. Metal. Blood. Sickness. Everything was too loud. Too bright. Too much. But I was alive. More hands on me. A nurse cutting away the oxygen mask. Replacing it with a tube in my nose. Another nurse inserted a new IV. A doctor shining a light in my eyes. Pupils reactive. BP stabilizing. Get her to ICU. Doors swung open. The gurney rolled fast. Ceiling tiles passed above me in a dizzying blur. And then I heard him. His voice. Breaking through the chaos like a lifeline I did not know I needed. Sarah. I turned my head. He was running beside the gurney. Face pale. Eyes red and swollen. Tears streaming down his cheeks. He looked destroyed. A security guard stepped in front of him. Sir, you cannot go past this point. That is my wife, he shouted. His voice cracking. Desperate. He tried to push past. The guard held him back. Sir, please. Let me see her. Please. I reached out. My hand trembling. Weak. He saw it. Lunged forward. Our fingers touched for half a second. And then they wheeled me through double doors. They closed between us. I heard him on the other side. Sobbing. The sound broke something in me. Because I had never heard him cry like that. Not at our wedding. Not at the miscarriage. Not ever. He was breaking. And it was because of me. They wheeled me into a room. Lifted me onto a bed. Monitors beeped. Machines hummed. Nurses moved around me with practiced efficiency. A doctor leaned over me. Middle age. Calm. Kind eyes. Sarah, I am Dr. Patel. You had a pulmonary embolism. A blood clot in your lung. Your heart stopped for 6 minutes. But you are stable now. We are going to keep you here and monitor you closely. You are very lucky. Lucky. I closed my eyes. I did not feel lucky. I felt raw. Exposed. Like every nerve in my body had been peeled back. The doctor left. The nurses finished their checks. One by one, they filtered out. And I was alone. The monitors beeped steadily. The IV dripped. The oxygen hissed softly through the tube in my nose. I stared at the ceiling. White tiles. Stained in a few places. A small crack running down one corner. I could still see it. The garden. The wilted flowers. The twins holding their roses. The broken ring. And the voice. You will speak. My hands trembled. What if I spoke and nothing changed? What if I told him the truth and he could not handle it? What if I opened my mouth and he walked away? What if I was too late? The fear wrapped around my throat like hands squeezing. But beneath the fear was something else. Clarity. For the first time in 2 years, I knew what I had to do. I had to stop waiting. I had to stop hiding. I had to stop pretending I was fine when I was dying inside. I had to speak, even if my voice shook. Even if he did not listen. Even if it shattered everything. Because staying silent had already cost me too much. A nurse came in, young, blonde, smiled gently as she checked my vitals. How are you feeling? Tired, I whispered, my voice hoarse. Barely there. That is normal. Your body has been through a lot. She adjusted the IV. You are very lucky, you know. 6 minutes without oxygen, most people do not come back from that. And if they do, there is usually brain damage. But you. She shook her head, amazed. You are fine. It is a miracle. I swallowed hard. I did not come back the same. She looked at me, curious. What do you mean? I did not know how to explain it. How do you tell someone you died and met your unborn children? How do you tell them you saw the truth about your marriage in a garden made of light? I am different now. She smiled softly, patted my hand. Well, different or not, you are alive. And your husband has been in the waiting room all night. Poor man has not left. Refused to eat. Refused to sleep. Just keeps asking about you. She adjusted the blanket over me. We will let him in soon. I am sure he will be relieved to see you awake." She left, and I was alone again. I closed my eyes, but I did not sleep. I could not. My mind raced. I rehearsed words I had never said. I practiced conversations I had avoided for 2 years. I imagined his face when I told him the truth. Would he cry? Would he get angry? Would he shut down? Would he stay? I did not know, but for the first time, I was ready to find out. Because I was done protecting a marriage that was already dying. I was done calling silence strength. I was done waiting for him to save me when I refused to tell him I was drowning. The door opened. I opened my eyes, and there he was, standing in the doorway, frozen, like he was afraid to come closer. He looked like he had aged 10 years overnight. His shirt wrinkled, hair a mess, eyes so red and swollen I barely recognized him. His hands shook at his sides. "Sarah," my name broke on his lips. And I saw it. The fear, the grief, the love, all of it. He was terrified of losing me. And I had spent 2 years convinced he did not care. "Come here," I whispered. He crossed the room in 3 steps. Fell into the chair beside my bed. Grabbed my hand with both of his. Pressed it to his forehead. And he sobbed. Deep, guttural, the kind of crying that comes from a place you did not know existed. "I thought I lost you," he choked out. "I thought you were gone. I thought I would never. I thought." He could not finish. I let him cry. Let him hold my hand like it was the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. And then I took a breath. And I spoke. I was gone. He looked up, confusion flickering through the tears. "What?" "I died. And I went somewhere. And I saw things." My voice was steady now. Stronger. "I need to tell you what I saw." He stared at me, waiting. And for the first time in 2 years, I told him the truth. "I have been dying for 2 years. And I never told you." The words hung in the air between us. Heavy, undeniable. He stared at me. His grip on my hand tightened. What do you mean?" I took a shaky breath. "After we lost the babies, I lost myself. And I blamed you for not noticing. But I never gave you the chance to see me." Tears spilled down my cheeks. I was so afraid. Afraid of being too much. Afraid of needing too much. Afraid that if I told you how broken I was, you would leave. So I became nothing. I smiled when I was breaking inside. I said I was fine when I was drowning. I waited for you to chase me while I was running as fast as I could in the opposite direction. My voice cracked. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. He was crying now, openly, his shoulders shaking. "Sarah, I did not know. I tried. I asked if you were okay. I reached for you in bed. I tried to talk to you. But every time you said you were fine, I believed you. I thought you were stronger than me. That you did not need me the way I needed you. I did need you," I whispered. "I needed you so badly I could not breathe. But I was terrified you would see how broken I was and decide I was not worth the effort." He shook his head violently. "I would never leave you. Never. But I left you first," I said. "I left emotionally. I locked you out and called it self-protection. I built walls and called them boundaries. I stopped letting you in and then resented you for not breaking down the door." Silence. Thick. Painful. Honest. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. "When you collapsed, when I saw you on the floor, when they said your heart stopped." His voice broke. "I thought God was punishing me. I thought I had failed you so completely that he was taking you away from me." "You did not fail me," I said. "I failed us. I convinced myself that being a good wife meant never asking for anything. Never complaining. Never being difficult. My mother taught me that. Her mother taught her that. And I watched my mom disappear in her marriage the same way I was disappearing in ours." I looked at him. Really looked at him. "But when I died, I saw them." "Saw who?" "Our babies." His breath caught. "They were there. In the garden. A boy and a girl. They were 5 years old. The age they would have been if they had lived." He covered his mouth with his hand. A sob escaped. "They asked me why I stopped fighting for them. Why I let the garden die. And I realized, I did not just stop fighting for them. I stopped fighting for us." He was weeping now. The kind of crying he never let me see. "I am so sorry," he whispered. "I am so sorry I did not fight harder. I am sorry I did not know how to reach you. I am sorry I let you carry all of that alone. I did not let you carry it with me," I said. "Every time you tried, I shut you out. Every time you asked, I lied. Every time you reached for me, I turned away. And then I blamed you for giving up. I squeezed his hand. But I am not blaming you anymore. And I am not blaming myself. I am just telling the truth. Finally, he looked at me, his eyes red, his face exhausted. What do we do now? I took a breath. We start over. We tell the truth. We stop pretending. We go to therapy. We talk about the babies. We grieve together. We learn how to be married to each other instead of performing marriage for everyone else. I paused. And we fight for this. Not the version of the marriage we pretend to have. The real one. The messy one. The one that requires my voice and your effort and both of us showing up even when it is hard. He nodded, tears still streaming. I am ready to fight. So am I. He leaned forward, pressed his forehead against mine. I love you, he whispered. I never stopped loving you. I did not know how to love you when you would not let me see you. I love you too, I said. And I am going to let you see me now. All of me, even the parts one am afraid of. We sat like that for a long time. Foreheads pressed together, hands intertwined, breathing in sync. It was not a fairy tale moment. It was raw. It was painful. It was real. But it was the beginning of something true. If you are still here, thank you. Please subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. The weeks that followed were not easy. I was discharged from the hospital with blood thinners, follow-up appointments, and instructions to rest. But the physical healing was nothing compared to the emotional work we had to do. We started therapy the week I came home. I sat on our couch next to him in the therapist's office, and for the first time, I did not hide. I told her everything. The miscarriage, the silence, the resentment, the way I had disappeared in my own marriage. The way I had expected him to read my mind and then punished him when he could not. He told her his side. How helpless he felt. How every time he tried to help, I pushed him away. How he thought giving me space was what I needed. How he did not know silence meant suffering. The therapist listened. She did not take sides. She just held up a mirror and made us look at the truth. You both love each other, she said. But you have been speaking different languages. Sarah, you expected him to pursue you without giving him a map. And you, she looked at my husband, you assumed silence meant she was okay instead of asking deeper questions. She leaned forward. Marriage is not mind reading. It is communication. And communication requires courage. I learned to speak without apologizing. I learned to say, I need you, without feeling like a burden. I learned to say, I am not okay, without fear of being too much. And he learned to ask questions. Not surface questions, deep ones. What are you really feeling right now? What do you need from me? How can I support you today? We talked about the miscarriage for the first time in 2 years. We sat on the bedroom floor one night, and I finally let myself cry in front of him. I told him how alone I felt. How abandoned. How I thought he did not care. And he told me how broken he was. How he did not know how to grieve and lead at the same time. How he thought being strong meant not falling apart. We cried together. We grieved together. And something that had been fractured between us began to heal. It was not instant. It was not clean. But it was real. We planted a tree in our backyard. A small dogwood. We planted it together and called it the twins tree. Every spring, it blooms. And every spring, we sit under it and remember. Not with bitterness. Not with regret. With love. My faith shifted too. I stopped praying for God to change my husband. I started praying for courage to be honest. I stopped reading books about how to be the perfect wife. I started reading about how to be a whole person. I learned that I did not have to shrink myself to be loved. I learned that my voice was not a burden. It was a gift. I learned that God did not call me to be silent. He called me to be truthful. And the truth set me free. My husband started pursuing me again. Not because I waited for him to. But because I finally let him know where to find me. He started asking me out on dates. Real dates. Not obligatory dinners. Intentional time together. He started reaching for my hand again. He started asking about my day and actually listening to the answer. He started showing up. And I started letting him. We were not perfect. We still had hard days. Hard conversations. Moments where old patterns tried to creep back in. But now, when I felt myself shutting down, I said it out loud. I am shutting down right now. I need a minute, but I will come back and talk to you. And he learned to wait without walking away. We were building something new. Not the marriage we pretended to have. The marriage we were brave enough to create. About 6 months after I came back from the dead, I felt a pull to share what happened. Not because I wanted attention, but because I knew I was not the only woman suffocating in silence. I started writing it down. Late at night, after he fell asleep, I wrote every detail I could remember. The kitchen, the collapse, the garden, the twins, the broken ring, the voice. You will speak. When I finished, I read it to him. He cried. You need to share this, he said. People need to hear this. So I did. I posted my testimony online. Just a simple post. I did not expect anyone to read it. But they did. Hundreds of people. Then thousands. The messages started coming in. Women who recognized themselves in my story. I have been silent for 10 years. I thought I was being godly by never complaining. I am disappearing in my marriage and I do not know how to stop. Thank you for giving me permission to speak. I cried reading every single message. Because I realized the lie I believed was the same lie so many women believed. That our needs made us burdens. That our voices made us difficult. That silence was strength. But silence is not strength. Silence is slow death. I started sharing my testimony at churches. Small groups. Women's conferences. Every time I spoke, women came up to me afterward. Crying. Whispering their secrets. I have never told anyone this, but... And I listened. I held their hands. I told them the same thing Jesus told me. Your voice matters. Your needs are not too much. Love requires you to speak. One woman told me she went home and had the hardest conversation of her life with her husband. She told him she had been dying inside for years. He had no idea. They started therapy the next week. Another woman told me she realized her marriage was not silent, it was abusive. And my testimony gave her the courage to leave. Another told me she had been planning to end her life. But hearing my story made her realize she had one more option she had not tried. Speaking. I do not share my testimony because I have all the answers. I share it because I almost lost everything by staying silent. And I do not want that for anyone else. The truth I found in the afterlife is this: God never asked you to wait in silence while your marriage dies. He never called you to be small, quiet, and invisible. He never told you that your needs made you less godly. He asked you to speak life. To use your voice. To stop disappearing, even if your voice shakes. Even if it breaks. Even if it costs you everything. Because staying silent will cost you more. I am still married, still imperfect, still learning, but I am no longer silent. I am no longer invisible. I am no longer waiting for permission to exist in my own life. And neither should you. If you are reading this and you see yourself in my story, I am telling you what I wish someone had told me years ago. Speak. Tell the truth. Stop protecting a marriage that is already dying. Stop calling silence patience. Stop waiting for someone else to save you. Your voice is not a burden. It is a gift. And the people who truly love you will not walk away when you use it. They will lean in. They will listen. They will fight for you. And if they do not, then you will know the truth. And the truth, even when it breaks your heart, will set you free. I collapsed in my kitchen on September 14, 2023. I died for 6 minutes. And I came back different. Not because I saw heaven, but because I saw the truth. The garden can bloom again. The marriage can live again. The covenant can be restored. But only if you stop pretending it is fine when it is dying. Only if you water it with truth instead of silence. Only if you fight for it instead of waiting for it to fix itself. I am fighting now, and my marriage is alive because of it. Not perfect, but breathing, and that is enough. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, and watch the next testimony on your screen. I am Sarah Grace Wellington. I am 29 years old. I died for 6 minutes in Nashville, Tennessee. And what I saw changed the way I understand love, marriage, and covenant forever. I thought delay was normal. I thought silence was strength. I thought waiting was faith. But the afterlife revealed the truth. And now I live loudly.